episode of the podcast entitled Couch Potatoes Unite! Which is based on a blog of the same name because we'll never be as catchy as Just Jack. But we do alright. My name is Kylie and I love TV. If you feel the same, keep listening and or checking out our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, as you're bound to find some common ground or something you like. For Couch Potatoes Unite, we're all about the wonders and the unique long-form storytelling of the small screen. CPU is upon our summer season and hopes you've been following releases of brand new episodes of the podcast on Wednesdays, as well as new blog entries on some Tuesdays. And as always, we have several more new episodes on the way. Because the panelists and I live lives behind our podcast, the episodes are published once per week. Subscribe to the blog or the podcast via iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and via Google Play to stay on top of brand new episodes. Episodes already published discuss a variety of shows around the water cooler, including, but not limited to, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, The Vampire Diaries, Orange is the New Black, The Good Place, Grace and Frankie, Game of Thrones, Broadchurch, Stranger Things, and iZombie. We've published several episodes in our Looking Back series covering such diverse shows as Battle Creek, Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel, Marvel's Agent Carter, Third Rock from the Sun, and Person of Interest. And we've looked back to look forward at shows like Full and Fuller House, American Horror Story, and Gilmore Girls. Plus, new episodes are in the works, including revisits for Doctor Who, A Series of Unfortunate Events, The X-Files, Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., New Girl, The Originals, Supernatural, Gotham, Once Upon a Time, 13 Reasons Why. The Marvel's Defenders panel will talk Season 2 of Luke Cage, and the DCTU will revisit all 4 shows in the CW's Arrowverse. We'll be launching new panels covering Sense8, The Crown, Westworld, and Arrested Development. We'll be launching a new feature called Versus, where we will be comparing shows in a spicy debate. And because we look back at shows now past, we'll be looking back at one of our most popularly requested panels of all time, which is Friends, and I swear to you, it is coming. This isn't just a year-long advertisement. By the way, did you know that CPU also, from time to time, goes live? We've been live from the Bunker, comedy outlet Mondays at Dog Story Theater in Grand Rapids Comic-Con. We're planning more live appearances and other cool stuff. So make sure you like or follow us at our Facebook page, our Twitter at CPU Podcast, our Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite, or subscribe to the blog, our YouTube channel, our iTunes channel, our Stitcher Radio channel, or find us on Google Play. In the meantime, if you don't hear your show in this podcast format, fellow panelists and I still write reviews, and we're always seeking new panelists. So if you have any interest in joining the discussion, say hello by finding us at any of those outlets I've mentioned. At the very least, stop by and leave us a thumbs up, comment, review. We like feedback, even if you have to have a few extra vodka martinis to do it. We can take it. Anything you've got. Today's panel is looking back to look forward at an American sitcom originally broadcast on NBC from 1998 to 2006 until the Peacock Network commissioned revival seasons, the first of which began airing in September 2017. If you aren't already aware, from time to time, CPU will be choosing shows of all types, but usually of some fame or notoriety to reminisce about, and to consider whether or not they age gracefully, like literally no one on the show, or don't hold up as well, like people on the show who are just afraid of that whole aging thing. As such, this is another chapter of our Looking Back podcast episodes wherein we review a show that has been gone, either via natural end or cancellation, for some time. Today, that show is Will&Grace, which originally aired on NBC for those 8 seasons until they warmly received political short and hungry order for a reunion-inspired 9th season, and later a 10th and 11th. In fact, today is part 1 of our Look Back to Look Forward miniseries devoted entirely to Just Will and Just Grace. In part 2, our panel will discuss the revival season 9. Will&Grace is set in New York City and focuses on the relationship between Will Truman, played by Eric McCormick, a gay lawyer, and his best friend Grace Adler, played by Deborah Messing, a Jewish woman who owns an interior design firm. Also featured are their friends Karen Walker, played by Megan Mullally, an alcoholic socialite, and Jack McFarlane, played by Sean Hayes, a flamboyantly gay actor. The interplay of relationships features the trials and tribulations of dating, marriage, divorce, and casual sex, as well as comical key stereotypes of gay and Jewish culture. During its original run, Will&Grace was one of the most successful television series with gay principal characters. Despite initial criticism for its stereotypical portrayal of homosexual characters, it went on to become a staple of NBC's must-see TV Thursday night lineup and was met with continued critical acclaim. It was ensconced in the Nielsen Top 20 for half of its network run. The show was the highest-rated sitcom among adults 18 to 49 from 2001 to 2005. Throughout its 8-year run, Will&Grace earned 16 Primetime Emmy Awards and 83 nominations. Each main actor, with the exception of Morrison, received an Emmy Award throughout the series. In 2014, the Writers Guild of America placed the sitcom at number 94 in their list of the 101 best-written TV series of all time. Since the final episode aired, the sitcom has been credited with helping and improving public opinion of the LGBTQ+ community, with former U.S. Vice President Joe Biden commenting that the show probably did more to educate the American public on LGBT issues than almost anything anybody has ever done so far. In 2014, the Smithsonian Institute added an LGBT history collection to their museum, which included items from Will&Grace. The curator, Dwight Blocker Bowers, stated that the sitcom used comedy to familiarize the mainstream audience with gay culture in a way that was daring and broke ground in American media. Today, for CPU's Look Back at Will&Grace, we've gathered a robust panel comprised of 2 frequent panelists and 1 brand new voice, as well as your very involved moderator, who are eager to dive into Will&Grace like Grace dives into donuts. It should be noted that all of our panelists have viewed the entire series and may discuss sensitive plot points, sight gags, and other jokes that may be best on a first watch. So for those of you who have not watched Will&Grace and plan to do so, first of all, where have you been? Listen at your own risk, as there may be major spoilers. At this time, I'd like to introduce our panel. Panel should know how this works, but I'll remind them and remind you, listener, that this is how this works. Each panelist will be asked to identify themselves by first name and how you came to watch Will&Grace. What made you start watching? How'd you find out about it? What kept you watching? Because we're looking back, you need to answer, did you watch all 8 original seasons? And then, how would you rate your interest in the show? And because we're looking back, you get to provide 2 answers. How did you feel at the beginning when you started watching Will&Grace? And how did you feel at the end of the original run? Very important question there. We're separating the 2. I'm going to ask you what your interest is along the standard CPU character question, which changes with each show we do. Are you ready, panel?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. So how would you rate your interest in Will&Grace, both when you started watching and when you stopped watching the original series? Did you love it? Naturally, though you know what would have made it even better if the show had been just Jack, like Jack McFarlane. You liked it, of course. You could eat it all up, well, most of it. Well, except the parts you don't like. But how many parts are there like that, really? Though you recognize that the show has some tiny, weensy, slight, practically unnoticeable imperfections, you also found it to be creative, funny, and an all-around good time. Just like you, but don't listen to your mother, like Grace Adler. You enjoyed the show, why wouldn't you? Well, you could find some fault with it in afterthought, like with the Grace character, with the Jack character, and definitely with the Karen character, and oh my god, what is going on with your throw pillows? You still appreciated that it didn't try to hide what it was at any point, even if you didn't always model your own sense of identity in the same way, like Will Truman. Okay, I'm gonna do my best here. Honey, you don't have enough pills or hooch to make it through this train wreck of a show, even if you begrudgingly admit it's got heart, like your husband Stan, like Karen Walker. Or, listen, lady, you do know why you watched this piece of crap for so long. Though you are probably willing to admit it's because you have a soft spot in your heart for the Karen character. Ay, mama! Like Rosario Salazar. Who would like to start? That was a horrible impression of Rosario, and not so great one of Karen, but that's okay.
It was evocative. It got the point across.
Thank you. Who would like to start?
I'll start.
Okay.
I'm new.
You are new. Welcome to Couch Potatoes Unite.
Thank you. I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
I'm Emily.
Hi, Emily.
I guess, I don't know, where do I start?
I get that a lot. How did you start watching Will&Grace?
Well, it premiered when I was 8 years old. I know, showing my age.
Gosh.
Sorry. But my family was the family that, like, we ate dinner and watched TV.
Sure.
And so that was always one of the shows that was on.
Okay.
And my mom really loved it, so whenever, she had control of the TV, that's what we watched.
Mm.
So I picked up a few episodes here and there when I was growing up, and then probably in the last, 3 or 4 years, when it got on Hulu, I rewatched it.
And loved it?
Well, when I first started it, when I was younger, it was fine. It was funny. I didn't know anything about gay culture. That was the first ever gay character I'd ever seen.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. So I thought it was funny and weird and cool, and I thought Grace was pretty and Karen was funny, and,
All that.
Oh, all that. Yeah. And then rewatching it, I guess I would go with, do we have to, your little ranking system there?
Yeah, you gotta pick
I gotta pick one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
so first at the beginning and then at the end.
So the first one, I don't know, I think they'd both be the same. I enjoyed it. It would be
Will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I enjoyed it, but I understand it wasn't perfect. Yeah.
Okay. And you've seen all 8 seasons?
I have, yeah.
Okay, great. Well, welcome, Emily.
Thank you.
We're excited to have you here.
Hello, everyone. I'm Andrew.
Hi, Andrew.
Hi.
Hi.
I don't know when I started watching Will&Grace. I feel like I started watching it right when it aired. I was in probably 7th grade when it came out, 8th grade maybe.
So a little older than Emily.
Yes, a little older than
All
Emily.
good.
But I guess I just remember watching it a lot with my mother. We loved our must-see TV, watching Friends. Yes, shout out Mama. Watching all those shows. So I feel like I probably started watching it right at the beginning. I have seen every episode. I feel like there was some time probably when I stopped watching it in high school. I kind of stopped watching TV in high school. I was just too busy. And then I went back and caught up. I'd say overall, throughout the series, I'd say I like it. I'd consider myself a Grace Adler.
Okay.
I liked it a lot. It did have its flaws. There were episodes that I didn't like. There were some things that I think were wrong with the show and a little, stereotypical and, not as forward-thinking as they could have been. And some bad episodes. But overall, I really like the show. Not so much that I love it. I love it more now watching it in reruns.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're Grace at the beginning and at the end? when you
I'd say
started
so, yeah. I'd say throughout, I'm pretty Grace.
in? Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Welcome back, Andrew. Andrew
you.
appears on many of our other ones. We've got Schitt's Creek now, Orange is the New Black,
Yes.
Kimmy Schmidt.
13 Reasons.
Right.
The one that we
Fuller
won't name.
House. Just admit it. Own it. A few of our
Was that
looking
canceled
back-
yet?
No. Sorry, man.
Okay.
So welcome back, Andrew.
Thanks for having me back.
Of course, anytime.
Hi, I'm Jeremy.
Hi, Jeremy.
Will&Grace for me is one of those shows that kind of sits out. I love to rewatch it all the time, and it always has some replay value to me. It's never boring, never a stale TV show. It's always something that I will enjoy watching no matter what. So that to me is a very big thing. And I love the new show. I think it's great.
Well, wait for that, because that's our next episode.
And we're going to that, so I'll just leave off with I want to watch more. So we'll go there.
Okay, how'd you start watching Will&Grace? Do you remember?
Oh, the original? Mm-hmm. Oh my god. With TNT? Like back in like 1995?
Well, it started in 1998.
Okay, well then, yeah, way back then. Yes, I did.
Seems
Wow.
like that much time,
TNT,
huh?
so that would be like, what, 2000, 2001?
Probably.
Had to have
Yeah,
gone
like
to
reruns.
syndication.
Okay, yes, I'm older than you.
No, I know, I'm just...
He was just trying to give you a year.
No.
A relative time.
Because for
frame.
TNT, it had to
Well,
be in
no, I used to
syndication,
watch
which
them
is
like-
what, 61
there were-
episodes?
100 episodes.
There was a season on like at 12:30 or so, and then there was one at like 10 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh,
and we used to
yeah.
watch both of them like
Okay.
one after the other.
Okay.
That's definitely like TNT or...
Yeah, it is.
What was the other one? TBS?
Yeah.
Yes!
Yeah.
Yes!
Is that
That
the
was
one you
great.
meant?
Yes!
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So how would
Half
you...
and half.
Yes. And of course, I know you've watched all 8 seasons. You own
Oh,
this
I have.
series,
I
right?
do,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So how would you rate your interest at the beginning when you started watching and at the end? Which character would you be?
Probably Grace, because she's so into everybody. She is, though.
She,
And then
she
at
does
the end,
like
though-
to have it be an all-around good time.
But no, at the end, she's jacked, though. Like, she's kind of into it, but like, because she has to be.
Okay. So you started as Grace and ended up as Jack?
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Well, welcome back, Jeremy. Jeremy's on our Supernatural panel, also on our 13 Reasons panel. You did 6 Feet Under.
And everything else.
And Stranger Things. You
Yeah.
just started on Stranger Things. Well, welcome back. And of course, my name is Kylie, and I'm just gonna say I'm the oldest one here, so shut up. And I started watching Will&Grace when the very first episode premiered on TV. I'm pretty positive it was in the must-see TV block with Friends, which I did watch religiously.
Me too.
Yeah, right. So, and I was like, what's this? What is this show? Oh my gosh, there's like gay characters on the TV. I'm going to keep watching. I was amazed because back then, because I know Andrew's already bridged this a little bit, and I'm going to probably hit on it too. I know there's a lot of hindsight looking back at these 90s shows like, oh, they should have been more forward thinking, but that's just not how it was.
Right.
Ellen was fired for coming out on television 2 years before this show started. So for those of y'all millennials that are all like, they should have been more progressive back then. That's not what it was. We weren't there yet. We're there now. That's what time passing does for us. And I think Will&Grace was really pioneering, and I recognized that when I started watching it. Not to mention the fact that aside from the first half of the first season, when she's sort of finding her character, Karen quickly became my favorite one. So, because... Of course. So I think I kept watching because it was funny. I know that, like Andrew, I actually stopped watching this show for a little while because in the later seasons it did get kind of rocky. They sort of lost a groove a little bit, and then I don't know that they got it back by the end of the show, but I still love it. I would rate myself as Grace beginning to end. I liked it. It had some imperfections. I also kind of relate to Grace the most, and yet don't relate to her at all, so it's okay. And maybe that's a valid question for all of us. Who do you relate to the most? Real question, go.
Oh.
Will.
It's going to reveal a lot about me.
Yes, it is. That's what the listener likes. Personal anecdotes.
Ooh. I mean, I see a lot of myself in, or I guess I see a lot of all of the characters in me. Like, you know, I can be kind of spastic and over-enthusiastic like Grace is a lot, or I can be over-analytical like Will, or I can just be straight-out judgmental and awful like Karen. I'm a millennial. I'm very in touch with my feelings.
Okay,
so. I think overall, though, I would relate to Grace, just kind of her inner monologue, and I guess outward monologue, too, is she would make a lot of the same decisions I would, and I kind of felt myself going along with her on those journeys and understanding her point of view, more or less.
I would have pegged you for a Grace, too.
Nah.
I actually, when you say that, I was like, if I think about it, I can see traits of all of them that I
You're
feel
Jack.
like I have.
Come on.
I don't think so.
No, I would definitely be a Karen.
I actually would give him Karen, too.
Well, kind of bold.
But with more, I'd say I'm least Jack. I'd say probably Karen, a hybrid between Karen, Grace, and Woody Harrelson.
That was a dark horse.
Right.
I would have given you Karen because you can be unfiltered.
That is true.
Jeremy.
Oh, I know I'm like a Will&Grace kind of aspect.
Yes.
Like, I'm definitely
I would
both
have
of them.
pegged you for a Will at first.
Oh, yes, definitely will.
I think
I
you
will
would be concerned
tell
about your
you-
throw pillows.
Yes. Come on now. We all know where this is going.
I guess we do now. So talk about Will and Grace. Talk about the show in general. This is sort of your free-for-all. Let me know what you think
Open
about
forum.
Open forum.
Who thinks it went somewhere good?
By the end of the original run?
No. The new run.
Well, we'll
we're
get
not
to
there
that.
That's
okay.
episode 2.
Hold on. I think, a lot of shows in their first couple seasons take a long time to kind of find their groove or find their voice or their story or whatever. And I think this one kind of hit the ground running, aside from Karen kind of having more superficial character traits that needed to be developed. But I felt like it was pretty sure of who it was or what it was within like the first 3 or 4 episodes, which is pretty rare. Usually, you watch 1 or 2 episodes of a new TV show and you're like, I don't see it going anywhere, and then you don't give it a chance.
Right.
But I didn't watch it from the very beginning, but rewatching it from the very beginning, kind of understanding more of the complexities of television writing and production. I don't know, but I was able to recognize that,
You can talk about those if you want.
well,
Complexities.
no, I am no expert. I just like to watch TV.
Sure.
That's why we're all here.
You fit in.
No, I was able to recognize that it was very similar to the episodes I remember in later seasons in the very beginning. And that was really nice. And like Andrew kind of pointed out later, it kind of went to, or maybe it was you, went kind of astray in like maybe seasons 6 or 7 that didn't quite stay true to what it was, but it was trying to evolve and then tried to get back and it didn't quite, but it was just something new and we were all along for the ride. So I appreciated that about it.
Do you know when the original showrunners left? Because they left the show, right? I know James Burrows directed every episode, but I'm wondering if, like, where I would think that the show started to lose it was when the original showrunners left.
That could correlate.
I think it was between seasons 5 and 6.
Well,
5 and 6? Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like it wasn't that soon that I started.
No, I thought it was more like 6, 7.
Yeah. It was when they started just bringing in so many guest actors. Everyone wanted to be on the show.
Yeah, because it was very popular.
But then it became about just like, let's just make an episode because Madonna wants to do it. Because Britney wants to do it. But that was a funny episode.
That was a good one.
So, bad example. But...
I mean, there were some diamonds in the later rough. But
like, they always had great guest, actors do the show. Everyone wanted to do the show. But at a time, it got to a point where it just like...
gimmicky.
Yeah.
Except Cher. Cher was
she can anytime. Come on over.
Yeah, come on.
And I loved actually seeing the progression of Karen Walker. It was like she was, still they were still discovering the character. I mean, it's pretty blatantly obvious. Like they wrote that character to be more like someone like a Christine Baranski or what's her name?
I don't know. I didn't even realize you were going to go to Christine Baranski.
No, I was just like in that type of roles, or Christine Baranski, or even completely different. What's her name? Blondie, Ally McBeal to Kimmy Schmidt. Why can't I?
Jane
Krakowski. Yeah, I just feel like for that type of character. That, especially even like in the 90s, like that's the type of person that they were probably going for. And then, Megan Mullally comes in and she's like, I'm just gonna do my own thing. And, and made this new character. And it kept getting progressively funnier and more of a hot mess as season 1 went on.
With a higher pitch voice.
Yeah, the higher it goes.
And drunker,
it went.
just more,
Yeah.
I'd say season 3 is my favorite season. I don't know if we're gonna go into that, but I feel like
you can go wherever you want, Andrew.
I like that season.
What remind us what happened in season 3? They all bleed together for me.
They do.
Oh, I was just looking at like titles, and I was like, oh, that was a season.
Oh, he's got cheat sheets.
Some
Google. One of my favorite episodes, an old-fashioned piano party. That episode cracks me up. And
what happens in that one?
They just have a
piano party.
They get a piano, and they have this like piano party, and then it ends up becoming a big mess. And Will&Grace getting in a huge fight, but then it's like and she does her awful singing.
That's like
God! I was gonna say, how's that different? You're gonna need to be more specific.
But it's just like I don't know. I think that's a hilarious episode, and I think that's also the season with Sandra Bernhardt.
Oh,
right. The big house.
Gosh, that's
where they go to her apartment.
Yeah. Hilarious. So yeah.
I agree with Emily's take on the whole show. I mean, that's basically what it started off, what it was. It hit the ground running. It was funny from the beginning and just got funnier. And then, there was, and maybe it was 6 to 7, I don't know. They filed a big lawsuit. That was part of they had a disagreement with the network and they filed a big lawsuit. And they left amid that legal battle. And then they only settled it like a couple of years before they decided to do this revival season.
Oh, gosh.
So I'm not exactly sure what it was that was the subject of the lawsuit, but I think them leaving was a big kind of where we saw the shift in the show.
Yeah, and that's common with a lot of shows. You kind of see a bit of a change. The masthead leaves and you kind of lose the rudder or whatever boat analogy I'm trying to make.
It works.
Sinking.
Ships, rudders,
boats, water, aquatic.
How many shows literally have the same director through every episode?
Yeah, that's
Not
insane.
No, right. And I think that's what, even when it was bad, kept it good, because chemistry between the cast and, no one knew them better than James Burrows to, so even when it was bad, it wasn't bad.
And all, the rich tapestry of, inside jokes and little mannerisms and little handshakes and jokes between Jack and Karen and Will&Grace and all of that stuff that we, quote and, kind of put into our daily lexicon now would have to seem easy for the writers to be like, oh, we can always rely on all that, they can do something here and that'll be the magic, So,
speaking of jokes, they built on jokes.
Oh my
there'd be a joke in season 2, episode 7, that reappeared later in season 6, episode 20.
It'd be 8 years long of a running gag, finally paid off.
Which I don't think I realized at the time, but then when I rewatched it on Hulu, I was like, oh yeah.
Right, because you watch it 6 days ago, and then you're 3 seasons later, and oh yeah, that happened.
The age of binge TV.
Oh yes. We never see Stan other than, his foot in a bathtub. It's just in Frasier, we never see Maris.
Right.
Even though one day we might.
Or Wilson.
Yes, or Wilson.
Wilson, at least you saw the top of his face.
Right.
So,
And the final curtain call.
Oh, that's right. They did reveal a little bit.
that's true.
Oh, 90s.
I guess.
I guess, whatever. Was there anything that you hated about the show?
Well, I mean,
Or
I
didn't like anyway?
wouldn't say I hated because I didn't quite know better. You know, being 8 years old, I wasn't exactly well versed in the LGBTQ plus community, and I just knew what the TV put in front of me. So I thought, like, oh yeah, every gay man is just like Jack, or they're just like Will, and that's it.
Uh-huh.
And then, you know, growing up and being exposed to the world and understanding and learning more, yeah, looking back, it is very stereotypical. And not as a member of the LGBT community, I can't really speak to that, but that definitely, looking back, it was a different time. And that was what they could get away with on TV. Like, even that episode where they had the first male kiss on TV, they were watching their favorite show, and it was in TV Guide that they were going to have a male kiss, so they all tuned in, and then, like, the camera pans away.
Yeah.
And so they go down to the station, and even, like, the network executive is like, there will never be, you know, the world is not ready for that. Don't complain about this. And then they bug Al Roker, and they kiss on TV, and it was a moment, huge. I remember hearing about that.
And that was literally, right, the first
I think it
time
was,
that
yeah.
it
For
happened.
two males,
Yeah,
Because Roseanne had already done it
right.
for two women.
That's
All
all right.
right.
Why Roseanne first
Right.
of all people? How the world has changed.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Totally different time.
Right. So any favorite seasons for, I mean, I don't know that I could pick one favorite season. I feel like the first 5 are really, really solid.
Oh, yeah.
And then 6 and 7 are not as solid, even though I love Harry Connick Jr. and I think he's really cute and everything. Just my
Yeah.
personal opinion. And then 8, you could tell they were trying to wind it down a little bit.
They were wrapping things up
Yeah,
and finishing.
moving things back to a place where they could pretend like they were, this is how it used to be. Nostalgia kind of a place.
Yeah, I feel like there was nothing I hated about the show. You know, and it was like thinking or characters or anything that I didn't like. And even, you know, even thinking back, and I was like, oh yeah, like, but even the Harry Connick Jr. seasons weren't bad.
No, they weren't
No.
bad. They
Yeah.
were just slightly less
They're
good.
just like, okay, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, he's still cute. I didn't understand why he cheated on her all the time. This is going to become
Like
a running
every
thing.
time. Yeah.
What's his problem? Why couldn't he, like, not do that? Why I just didn't understand that part of this character. Or
They
who
needed
wrote
to
that
write
guy.
in conflict.
Yeah, I
Grace was
guess
too
so.
happy.
I guess so. Poor Grace.
Yeah.
She had other things to make her unhappy.
Many things.
Many
Yeah.
things.
She didn't need that.
Speaking of guest stars, I feel like we should call
Oh.
out a few of them, especially
There were
Debbie
so
Reynolds.
many.
Debbie
Debbie
Reynolds,
Reynolds,
Kevin
Yeah.
Bacon.
Kevin Bacon.
Oh, the whole yeah, no, but the last season they had so many guest stars.
Yeah.
I was like, no, done. And
Oh,
literally,
look,
I
there's
didn't
someone
watch the
else.
last season. I was like, no,
Ellen, who's that?
because there were
non,
so
right?
many.
There
There
were
were
so
a lot.
many.
Were there every episode in season 8?
I don't think
remember
every
that.
episode.
In the
But-
last season, there was every
Really?
single episode has a guest star,
Wow.
and that's why I was like, no, I'm done. I'm not
It just
watching
became
this.
to the point where, like, you know,
Who's gonna be on
every
this week?
star wanted to be on it,
Yeah.
so they were like,
Did they-
get, you know, and they just let them all on.
Matt Damon was on it.
Oh, Matt Damon.
He played the guy trying to pretend to be gay to be in the gay man's chorus.
That's right.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that
He was
one.
somewhat funny.
Janet Jackson was on it, wasn't he? Wasn't she?
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Jennifer Lopez.
Jennifer Lopez. That's right.
Oh, she's on.
Because
That's
they
a
were,
fun
Jack was her
episode.
backup dancer.
And then she was on it again, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, like 2
And-
seasons later, and
When
she was
she
like,
was
"No,
like-
we're done."
He's like, J-Lo, it's Jack.
yeah.
And she's
Was he like
"Ooh."
an extra, like on the show? And he was like supposed to be a dead corpse in the morgue, and then he
Yes.
kept like waking up or something.
I just actually watched that one too.
Oh, I love that one.
Trying to catch up.
Rosie O'Donnell.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
as
Sarah-
We
Elliot's
haven't even
mom.
gone there.
Rosie O'Donnell
Elliot's
back when
mom.
she was relevant.
Yeah. Sarah Gilbert
Isn't she
on
now?
the Barry Manilow episode.
Is she?
That was funny.
Yeah,
Who
kind
was the
of.
what?
Sarah Gilbert. Was
Sarah
it the
Gilbert.
Barry Manilow fan club episode?
That's right. She was. That's
The
it.
Manilow
The
Fan
Fellows.
Club.
like what you were saying earlier about how like you can always turn it on and it's never not entertaining. Like it's the perfect show to just throw on while you're cooking or folding laundry. Like it's always entertaining and you're never like, oh, I hate this episode. Skip. It's like, oh, that's right. I gotta watch this for this joke. Yeah, because it's funny every time.
Right.
I don't think I've never watched an episode and not actually like laughed out loud at least once.
Same. At least
Something will make, even if I know the joke, I know the punchline, just the delivery, it'll make you laugh every time.
I was watching one the other day, and it's the one where, right at the end, where Karen realizes she's broke, and she is looking for alcohol, and she pulls out an entire full bottle of something, and she goes, "Oh, it's almost empty," and she like chugs the entire thing right there. She goes, "Nope, it's empty." It's so funny.
Was that the same episode where she also like crawled out on the window and there was one like hidden on the other side of the window? Like, oh yeah, there's more.
Of course. She's always prepared. I would agree. I don't think there's one single episode that I've watched and I say, oh my god, I don't like this episode. There's a couple of like plot lines that I'm like, this one's not funny. But you can always count, and usually it's a Will or Grace storyline, quite honestly, because the Jack and Karen ones are always funny. I mean, you can always rely on Jack and Karen. They're actually my favorite part of the show.
Yeah.
I've said that.
There's a big push for a spin-off for both of them, and like I think at one point Megan Mullally had the rights to her character, and she wanted to do like her own Broadway spin-off, and like was even in pre-production, and they shut it down, took back the rights or something. There was something there to it. But even in like one of the last episodes, I think it was the finale. I think it was in the finale where Karen and Jack are sitting in the tub and they're talking about like how they're just bit players to the Will&Grace show, but we can't have our own spin-off. It's just silly, not enough heart, which is a little on the nose.
I enjoyed every time Jack and Will and Grace, because I don't think Karen joined in this, were watching relevant television programs at the time, and they would end. Like, there's a whole shout-out to the end of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the original one.
Oh, yeah. And Frasier.
And Frasier.
They run into Baby
Friends.
Yeah, and Friends.
Yeah.
That was a big one.
Yeah. They were very kind of meta before meta was cool.
Yeah. What was the question? Where were you at?
I'm sorry, I'm distracted by
show
a
in
cat.
general. Or what seasons were your favorite? You mentioned the third season. Do you have any favorite seasons?
My favorite season was the one where Grace was. She's talking about Leo and how Diane tied into that.
Diane?
Diane was the one who slept with Will. The only female character who slept with Will. And she's like, I am salting tomatoes because they are not going to salt themselves. That is my favorite line in the entire season. It's amazing.
Okay.
Do you remember that or no?
I do remember that episode. I just don't remember what season it's in.
Where Diane is at Will and Leo, or I'm sorry, Grace and Leo's house.
Apartment.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
So it would be like, when did
Season
he join
6 or
6?
7.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's
And
Leo's
Grace
ex.
realizes
Leo's
that
ex.
Diane is the only woman that Will has slept with.
Right, not Leo's ex.
Oh.
Will's
No,
one-
and Leo's ex.
Oh, they both.
Yeah, because
slept
Will
with
and
her?
what's her
'Cause-
name had. Oh yeah, and she was like
Yes.
super nice, and they clicked really well. And then she learned all this
Because
about
Will slept with
romance.
Diane,
Oh, right.
and Diane slept with
Thankfully.
Leo and Grace.
Didn't they have their
Kinda-
friends over too? The ones
Yes!
they play games with. What are the friends' names?
Oh, I can't.
the
well,
man and
there's the man and the woman,
wife,
and then there's Larry and somebody else.
All right, the
'Cause what are
gay
they?
couple, but it also
Yeah.
their college friends.
Yeah.
The blonde girl who's always pregnant. And
Yes.
then, oh shoot, I forget their names.
She was on, what was that? She was on that Good Luck Charlie show. Oh my God. She was a mom on that.
That's way more than I know, Andrew. I don't know anything about that. Why can't I remember their names?
So there's Larry and
I want to say Helen, but it's not Helen. Is that?
No, that's the gay couple, Larry and
Yeah, Larry is.
something. I want to say Larry and David, but I'm pretty sure that's a brand
No.
of something. Oh, Harry and David, that's what I'm thinking.
Oh yeah, that's Harry and David. Man, it's on the. We're all.
I'm
going.
Googling.
We came prepared, listeners.
I know, right? We often do live internet
Fact check,
searches.
fact
and,
check.
Yeah, and then a bunch of people are like,
You go to the cast
oh my
list, and
God.
there's just
Yeah.
so many people. Like Jeff Goldblum, Larry and Rob. No, Rob was the
Robin Allen.
husband.
Ellen.
Ellen.
That's it.
I said Helen, right? I was
You did,
close.
you were very
Very
close.
close. And Larry and who?
Joe.
Was it Joe?
Yeah,
wasn't as mundane as Joe.
Yeah.
it was.
They adopted a baby at one point, and
I feel like
they
he was
did.
on it less, right, than Larry. I feel
Larry
like
was on it.
Joe and Larry
was on
had the
show
baby.
more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Joe and Larry
And then
did.
Ellen and Larry.
Joe. No, Ellen and
Rob.
Rob and Ellen and
Yeah.
Rob.
They
They
were
had
the-
like 6
yes.
kids.
College friends that were super competitive with game playing. Because
Which was
Will and Grace
amazing, though.
always won, and Rob and Ellen
Yes,
were like,
I just watched that episode, Ashley.
well, there were several like that.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Where they get the homojo. Homojo.
I like the one where Grace tries to throw a dinner party after she moved across the hall.
With mustard and film.
And it's
Is
on
that
the
it?
floor.
Yeah, she has no
Furniture.
furniture, so she's like, it'll be fun, it's a picnic, and everybody's like, no.
No.
Yeah, she said something
Absolutely not.
like you have bad Polaroids of people with mustard soup or something.
The whole running joke of that apartment was that it smelled like pee.
Yes,
Cat pee.
exactly.
Yes.
Which Jack later moved into.
Yeah, and no one ever mentioned that again.
No. Where did the cat pee go?
That cleaning deposit
Karen
came.
How
paid
could
for
he
his
afford
upgrades.
that apartment?
Karen.
Oh, God.
Because of Will. Come on now.
Karen.
No, Will paid for most of that stuff. For the last, 5 seasons,
Will
paid
paid
for
for
that.
his rent.
That was
Karen
true.
paid for his furniture.
Oh.
Yeah.
And maybe to remove the cat pee smell. We
Maybe.
don't know.
I
Hopefully.
want to
That's
find
the
a
answer.
Will and Karen.
I know.
Right? Instead, I'm more like a Grace. Where's the donut?
Right.
She does have a relatable love affair with food. Is all
Sure
I'm saying.
does.
That's just all I'm saying.
She's definitely a Taurus.
Do you know that for sure?
No, but I could totally see Grace being a Taurus, right?
Maybe. I could see it. Yeah, I'll give it to you. And then we'll find out her birthday's in December. It's fine.
Right, yeah. Oh.
Would they ever say?
I don't
Oh, I'm
think they
sure if
ever
you go to
said.
the Grace Adler wiki page,
Yeah, there's probably a...
all the information's there.
Grace Adler.
I don't think they ever put out dates, though. They just celebrated in various ways and means. What about Smitty?
Oh, Smitty. You always know how to make me laugh.
Born April 26th. Is
that
day
a-
before my birthday.
Is that a Taurus?
A Taurus.
Or Deborah?
Grace Adler.
All
April
right.
26th. Oh.
So are you predicting signs on the others?
Right, what do you got?
Okay.
I don't know astrology or astronomy or astrophysics.
Well,
What is
they're
it?
all various levels.
Ah, okay.
She doesn't know it if it's got an astro. I don't know.
Will would probably be,
A Virgo.
I was going to say a Virgo, maybe a Libra.
Oh, I'm Will.
I don't think he's too manic to be a Libra.
Yeah.
And he's decisive in his own way.
I could see Jack being either a Leo or a
Oh,
Pisces.
I would give you Leo on that.
Yeah.
I'm just going based on the Pisces I know.
Oh, are there Jacks in your life?
No,
Okay.
just
No.
not Jack.
Well,
just,
hold on there, woman.
And Karen.
Oh, Karen?
Yeah.
She's an Aries. Absolutely.
Now look it up.
No, now I gotta
She
know.
is absolutely an Aries.
Nobody writes characters that are Cancer because it's just so lame. Nobody wants to be those people.
Well, they're kind of moody.
I know, I'm aware. What are you trying to say? What?
Karen Walker. Let's see. Okay. Character overview.
I was gonna say her birthday is probably never revealed.
Yeah, that's true.
But she would be a
Maybe.
not what my dad is.
What's the date?
Sagittarius? January 16th? Is that Sagittarius? That's
Capricorn.
Capricorn.
Weird.
That is weird.
Okay. Will, Jack.
Okay, Will and Jack. Oh, she's such an Aries.
No, she's a
Clearly she's
Capricorn. Actually, I can see the Capricorn now that you say. She's
I don't
just a
know.
very
Every
drunk
Aries
one.
I know is an alcoholic.
She's just a very drunk Capricorn.
I'm just saying.
Capricorn plus alcohol
January
equals
13th.
Aries. Capricorn
Who?
also?
Oh no, that is Will McCormick, the television producer.
Oh, well, Will Truman.
Oh, it's Will Truman.
Yeah.
Will Truman is his character name.
McCormick is his last name,
Eric
right?
In real
McCormick.
life.
Okay, Will Truman.
So we know where
So
that-
much edits are going to be taken out of this.
That's true.
We're fine.
You're very predicty today.
As my mother always says, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, right?
Fictional character history, October 23.
That's Libra Scorpio cusp.
Yeah.
That was Will.
That was
About
Will.
Jack.
Jack, all right.
Oh.
Jack McFarlane.
Of course he is.
Sean Hayes is the youngest of them in real life. I know that.
Which is weird.
And Megan Mullally is almost 60.
Which is
Not lying.
very weird.
She doesn't look it.
No.
No, she's not.
She is.
Yeah.
Fun fact, I saw her in Grease.
Fun
Throws
fact,
you
she's
down.
married to Nick Offerman.
Yeah, she is. Every time she popped up on Parks and Rec, I was like, oh my god, it's Karen.
Oh, Pisces.
Oh.
Jack?
No, maybe not. No, maybe not Pisces. Yeah, Pisces.
What's the date?
16th.
what?
February. Is that so Aquarius?
That's Pisces.
That is Pisces?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're right. You
I was
got
right.
one.
I got 2. Grace.
All right.
Taurus.
The first one. The one we forgot about and started this whole question.
Down that rabbit hole.
Right?
What else?
Let's talk about the series finale.
Do we have to?
We have to.
right.
It was very controversial at the time. So if you don't recall, because they certainly tried to erase it from our memories later on.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, they did.
Like
yes,
they should
they
have.
did. Will and Grace fall out of contact. They go about their separate ways. They decide they're too codependent and done. They're going, they're leaving, goodbye. And they end up having their own lives. Unexplained what those lives look like, except they both have kids, and those kids both end up at their alma mater, which is Columbia. And that's where they see each other again, and they reunite and they catch up. And then there's this weird fade wipe to all 4 characters sitting at some random bar. Was this a proper send-off for our characters at that time? What did you feel about the original series finale?
Didn't this happen maybe 5 years ago?
It was 2006?
Yes, so
That's
that'd be
12 years ago.
So the same thing again.
It ended in 2006.
Right.
Right. They redid this whole thing in 2006, where they all got together at a bar.
Right, that's what we're talking about, the series finale.
Yeah.
Yeah. They did that then. I don't know. It didn't feel like good closure. Like there was that scene with Jack and Karen singing
Unforgivable.
Unforgettable.
Unforgettable.
I like that!
Unforgettable.
No,
That
was
was
a great
beautiful.
moment.
That was a good end to their story.
Yes.
I really liked that.
Yeah. I would say that's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say I love the Jack and Karen segments of the finale.
Yes.
And that was about it.
It was
And
almost
them
like the
singing-
writers
yeah.
liked that relationship more and spent more time
What?
writing that.
True that.
And to think they never had a scene together in the first episode of the series.
But then they had scenes together in other episodes.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't hate
It was
it.
almost like it was nothing about Grace and Will at all, right?
I think I didn't hate
title
it
of
when
the
I
show.
watched it.
Yeah.
The finale, and then I hated it after the fact. Like, it pissed me off after I watched it. But I remember watching it, live, in college, and not hating it. And then I feel like, thinking back, and I was like, well, that was stupid,
Well,
It
I
was-
wonder if there's been other TV shows that have had such amazing finales, just perfect send-offs. And I think, since then, that's happened, and maybe looking back now, we're a little spoiled and used to, really good finales, and this one maybe just doesn't measure up anymore.
I think the problem is that everyone wants to make the perfect finale, and very few get it right.
That's true.
Even for every good finale, there are 3 that will disappoint fans.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, but I'm not sure they were even actually gunning for perfection as much as they were gunning for something that...
Satisfactory.
Completion.
Well, and not even... completion, yes, obviously, but also just... There's a mood about that finale that's almost as if it's like It's a Wonderful Life in reverse, and
It's a little uncomfortable.
it's a little uncomfortable. Like they're trying to justify why Will and Grace are better together, maybe, but they do it awkwardly and
Yeah.
how they execute it.
Yeah.
And it's weird because their relationship takes this trajectory, but Jack's and Karen's does not. So you're kind of left with what just happened. That's how I felt. I watched it live the first time, obviously, but that had probably been after I took a pretty sizable break from the show. I think I watched the last handful of episodes live. And I was like, what the hell did I just watch? That was my reaction. But then when I rewatched the series on Hulu just before doing this podcast recording, I still had that sense of well, that just didn't sit right. That wasn't what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
There should have been more of a happily ever after, whether Will and Grace were living together or not. They should always be friends that don't lose touch.
Right.
I think my biggest issue with it was that they did lose touch for so long. It felt like because every time Grace would move out, she would then move back in.
Right.
Or every time they would get in a fight, then they would make up.
But see, I felt
And
that
it-
was kind of real. Like, that's how friendships kind of happen sometimes.
It just didn't feel like
I thought it was organic.
I felt like something should have kept them together. Like, maybe they had a falling out for a couple of months or a couple of weeks, but, like, I felt like they wouldn't have spent that long apart.
Even like a year or two.
Yeah.
But, like, even after that, like, one of them will be calling the other one, like, I miss you.
I think that happened. Like, they had that organic kind of chemistry that brought them back together eventually. Like,
Not
Will
until
and...
they ran into
18
each
years
other.
later.
Yeah.
Years later.
But, like, it was cheese that brought them back together. Like, something like that. Those little things that brought them back together. Do you remember that?
No.
Yeah.
Where they said, you can't go off cheese.
Yeah, I remember them talking about having that conversation in the hallway.
It was those little things that brought them back together in my mind.
Yeah, but I think the point that Emily's making is that it took a very long time to happen.
Yeah.
And my point is that
should
it
have
can
happened
take
sooner.
that long, and they can get back together and have that relationship.
Right, I'm not saying
You're
they
saying
can't.
you bought it.
I did, yes.
I didn't.
It's okay to disagree.
Well,
Oh, the
Counterpoint.
ending, no, but like the
Hashtag
cheese thing,
spicy.
yes.
Yeah.
We like spicy stuff.
Spicy.
Spicy.
I mean, in hindsight, I mean, I think I agree with you as far as Will and Grace go.
Yeah.
But, like, thinking on it and, like, adults, our parents, people, like, I know, like, like, friends my mom's had who had huge falling outs, and then they reconnect after so many years.
That's true,
But
yeah, that
yet,
definitely
they
does
were
happen.
never someone, like, if it was a friend of my mom, just as an example, never someone that was her, like, Will or Grace. You know
Yeah,
what I
you're
mean?
like soulmate in
Yeah.
many ways.
Like,
Yeah, it
that
just felt like they wouldn't have been that apart for that long.
Well, see,
For
in my
why
mind,
they
I
blew up.
wanted them to get back together. So.
Yeah, I
Right.
wanted them to be together sooner, but it took until they went to college.
Did Karen and Jack keep in contact with both of them? I don't remember, I guess.
I'm
They didn't
assuming-
really explain that.
Yeah.
I mean, we can assume that it.
Yeah, like when they.
So they were still friends with both Karen and Grace, yet
We don't know.
didn't.
Yeah, they didn't really tie up that end.
Okay.
We just know that they had these fictitious kids with their spouses that they were still married to in this fictitious future.
Oh my
Leo
gosh.
and Vince.
Doesn't happen later, but
Right.
Ooh.
So it was. I see your point, Jeremy. I agree with Andrew and with Emily, though. I see your point, and it was organic, but this is TV.
TV is manufactured.
Right. And it was a sitcom about two extremely, extremely codependent, but also soulmate type. I mean, I think that's what they established pretty early on, is that they kind of complete each other. And maybe in an unhealthy way, that's one of the delightful things that the show explores.
well, they get
Through
into that later on, so.
Correct. But at the same time, it kind of reminds me of those necklaces. There were two halves of a heart.
Yes, best friend necklaces.
Yes, best friend necklaces. They're the each side of a best friend necklace,
Yeah.
and I just don't. The way they presented this dream sequence, if that's what it was, which we're calling it that now because of the joke that gets made later, was that it just didn't feel. It didn't even match what was going on in the show.
It didn't feel right, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you were going along with it, but you just felt kind of like, is this real? This
Like,
isn't.
there's no end point.
Yeah, it just,
Yeah.
it didn't have that closure. Like, it felt like someone was going to wake up at the very end, which, I mean, I guess
They did.
works, but...
Right.
13 years later.
Right.
Well, and then there's the whole. So part of the 8th season too was that storyline around Grace getting pregnant, but Leo ditching her,
Yeah.
which was also. I mean, they really made him out to be a heel.
Well, I mean, he made his grand entrance at the end, and it was
He did.
good, but like when he comes in and he sees that she has like chicken, he goes, "Oh, you're with chicken. I'll come back."
Yes. I don't know. I struggled with the Leo character because he was very likable, but yet
Did really unlikable
It's
things.
because he's Harry Connick Jr. If
Part
it was
of it.
played by another actor,
I mean,
Maybe.
it's a very charming Southern accent, and he's got great hair, and the eyes are good. I'm just saying.
They wanted him to be that character that you could just beat on all the time. And I don't
But be
think-
charming and resilient enough
Exactly.
to overcome, yeah.
I liked her dynamic with Woody Harrelson more. Like, I like that relationship. I don't know
didn't
why.
like
I
that
thought those were
character.
funny episodes, and I
Yeah.
thought that, I don't know why.
They were funny. I think it
their
lasted as long as it
banter.
needed to.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't think that he would have fit in as well. But I
No,
like that he
no,
challenged her. That was probably the best part, was he challenged her, and then she challenged him, and
I like the running joke of Grace, like, once things get really good with a guy, now it's time to break up with him. Like,
Yes.
she comes back from a date with Will's boss, Ben, and
Gregory Hines.
Yes,
Rest in
R.I.P.
peace.
she comes back from a date and she's looking gorgeous and she has flowers and something, I think, like, they took a carriage ride or something. Everything was magical, and Will goes, "Gone by the weekend?" She goes, "Gone by the weekend."
Yeah, I loved when he was on the show. He was pretty smooth. Mm-hmm. And they even gave him room to tap dance, because that's what he does.
He was good.
He was good.
One of the best.
was
Tap
one of the
dancers. He even got to tap dance. He was good. Like, totally
All
telling you,
true.
man.
He was a good tap dancer, yeah.
So we have kind of a mixed reaction to that series finale.
It was fine.
Oh, wow.
gonna say-
It was fine. It's okay.
I was going to say thumbs up or thumbs down. Where does it was fine rank?
I'm doing, like, the...
Thumbs up, Jack and Karen. Thumbs down, Will&Grace.
So
Yes,
you've got, like,
I agree with that.
horizontal thumb that
Yeah.
Emily was just doing.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
like, Gladiator with...
Where are you at?
I'm in the middle.
Horizontal thumb
Yeah,
again?
definitely.
Yeah.
And that scene with Beverly, that was, the blowing away.
We
Like,
haven't talked
hilarious.
about Beverly Leslie! We have to talk about.
Yes.
Which is a whole other thing in the new season, too.
Oh, yeah.
There is, but we have to set the groundwork.
Right?
So Beverly Leslie is played by, what is his name?
I forget. It's
know.
Leslie
Leslie
not Leslie
Nielsen.
Nielsen. Leslie something. I know it's Leslie. I love all of Karen's, like, arch nemesis.
Yeah.
Throughout the course of the series.
Right.
Who's the girl with no shoulders?
Oh.
Do you remember that?
I know how
The
she
girl
always
with
makes
no
fun of Candy
shoulders?
Bergman.
Yes! Yes!
Leslie Jordan is the actress.
Yeah.
Beverly Leslie is
Yes.
Leslie.
And
Yeah.
for the record, whenever my mom would sign up for, like, email and stuff at the mall, she would use Anastasia Beaverhausen. To
Me
this
too,
day,
actually.
she still gets things, and she knows what mailing list it is because she will use that name, and then one from Gilmore Girls, Squeegee Beckenheim. That's what it was.
Yeah.
She would use those when she signed up for things.
That's awesome. Yes, Beverly Leslie.
So there were aliases on Wikipedia for Beverly Leslie that were like cup-sized capote, frosted mini wheat, Keebler elf,
Yeah.
Lucky Charms,
Oh, yes, like
world's oldest girl,
Yeah, that's true. She did say that.
a gay old Christmas. Oh my God, these are a thing.
Yeah.
These are the best.
These are all the things she called him.
Oh, wow.
And he had just
I
as many
wish.
for her.
Did.
I wish I had Karen Walker's like wit, and I could just like come up with something like like her lines, like just like off the top of my head,
Yeah.
and get away with it.
I know.
That's why I want to be Karen a little bit. Because of that. Like, she
Yeah.
always knows just what to say and just how to get out of any situation.
And just when to say it.
And exactly.
I know. Funnily enough, she's the one I want to quote the most, and I have the hardest time remembering what she says. What is it about that?
I don't know, but to speak to that, one of my favorite Karen quotes is, it's stupid and really out of context, but like, she knocks on the door at Will and Grace's apartment, and Grace goes, "Who is it?" and yells it like 6 times from across the apartment. Finally goes and opens the door, and Karen's just standing there, and she goes, "Honey, I don't yell."
I love her. She's literally my favorite. All the times.
Brilliant writing, brilliant performance.
Yes. I'm not sure, but I think she won the most Emmys.
Brilliant slap fight.
She did, actually.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Is she the only one that's won
All
an
of them
acting
won
one?
at least once.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of them-
Except for Rosario.
Was
Which-
she ever nominated?
I'm not
I
sure.
doubt it.
Wasn't there someone that was not nominated like throughout the whole series? They've all won. Are you
They
sure?
all won at
Emmy?
least. I just
Yeah.
read it in the intro. I already
Wow.
Wikipedia'd this.
Been
We
one.
did
there,
this.
done it.
Been there.
No,
done
I thought
that.
there was this whole thing of like, it was like, who is it? Like maybe like
Somebody never won.
McCormick.
He
Eric
ended up
McCormick
winning.
had never won.
I think he ended up winning for the last season. That's what
Season
I think.
8 or season 9? No, season 9.
Season 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last season of the
Yeah,
original
not
one.
9.
I think Karen Walker's the only one nominated, right?
For season 9.
Season
Yeah.
9, yeah. Oh, I can't wait to get into that one. I've got thoughts.
We'll segue.
Okay.
So how do you feel about the original run of the show now that time has passed? Aside from the season 9 business, revivals are such a new trend amongst our
Yeah.
2010s. Does the original run hold up? Was it time for it to go? Or would you have watched more seasons, or should it have ended sooner? How do you feel about the original 8 seasons?
I liked it a lot. I think in terms of it holding up, I think a lot of the situations definitely hold up. I think, I mean, obviously there's a lot of changes in references that even rewatching, 10 years later are a little like, wait, who's that? And then you have to kind of search the back of your brain and go, oh yeah, that movie I saw one time on TBS. I remember that movie that they're referencing, like old episodes of ER that I'm like, I don't know. But
well, that show was on for gajillions of years.
I think it generally holds up. I think it's still very funny and entertaining, no matter when I watch it.
Did it end at the right time, or should it have gone longer, ended sooner?
Shouldn't have gone longer.
No. But I hesitate to say that it should have ended sooner.
It was different.
Were they canceled, or did they go out gracefully? Like, did they...
They went out gracefully.
Okay.
As it were.
Intended.
Yeah, I mean, I think the show does hold up for the most part. I still find it funny. It is obviously a product of its era, but it was also, revolutionary at the time. I think between the original and the reboot, it's fitting going from, an entire 8 years of Obama and not having the show on the air and, what has changed, and, the Bush era with Will&Grace, and now we're in 45's America with the reboot. That it works. That I feel like if it went on during 2008 to 2016, it would not be the same. I guess. Or even before then, it was it shouldn't have. Yeah, I think it was.
There's so much fodder right now.
Yeah,
that's true. That's a good point. I think we can kind of bring up too when we talk about it. But of all the, it's kind of funny to me that with a glut on the entertainment complex, the successful properties are some of these revivals like Will&Grace. And I think part of it is nostalgia, but part of it is because it's so good and it does work.
Yeah, it brings you in with nostalgia and keeps you there because you remember how good it was.
Exactly. And also I think you're right, Andrew, right on point. I mean, it was an answer to an ideology at the time that was very opposed to what the platform and premise of the show was. And we're back there again. We've kind of regressed a little bit, at least in terms of one pocket of our society. How about you, Jeremy? What do you think?
I think it could have definitely gone on for a couple other seasons, especially with the climate today. I think we see that more with how they revamped the show this year. So I'm definitely excited to see where they go with the next season, though.
Okay, we'll get there. We'll get there.
I know.
You need patience.
I'm trying
Padawan learner.
I'm trying to bring it down.
Yeah, bring it down. Okay.
Why did they never do a musical episode though?
They did. They did.
They did a musical preview for season 9.
Oh yeah, no. But
where were you?
No, I meant on the show. I mean, everyone was doing musical episodes
Not
back,
then.
and that's when they were all happening.
Really?
They started.
Yeah,
with
Buffy did one in 2003. Scrubs did one. You're right.
That's 70s show.
Again, where were
You're
you?
right. Now I'm outraged. I take back all my opinions. The show sucked. No, I'm kidding.
But if one
But
show
there's
was
music.
gonna do a musical
Yeah, they
episode,
all could
the
do
one
it.
with the 4,
They all could do
stage
it.
veterans.
Maybe they're saying it's not like they don't have time with 2 renewed seasons, Andrew.
No.
But that's a good question.
Now you put that in
They
my brain.
have the voices.
I need that now. I want that now.
Everybody can sing on the show. I don't
And
understand.
I will say too, I love their live episode,
Yes.
and I wish
That
that they
was
would
good,
do more
actually.
like that.
And it's still funny.
It's still
It
funny.
wasn't
yeah.
complete perfection, and that's what I love about it. I love that they broke character a few times. Yeah, it was kind of amazing. So Will&Grace was created by David Cohen and Max Muchnick. Cohen and Muchnick also created Boston Common, which came out in '96 before this one. Good Morning Miami, this is after. Twins, Four Kings, Bleep, My Dad Says, Partners, and Clipped. None of these shows went beyond one season except for Boston Common and Good Morning Miami. Have you watched any of these shows? What did you think of them, and how did they compare to Will&Grace if you did? Or will you watch any of these shows because of Will&Grace? In other words, did the creators convince you to follow their careers or not?
Nope.
No.
Nope. Sorry.
I haven't heard of any of those shows.
I
Don't
think
watch
I
them, it's
watched
fine.
Boston Common.
I
No
I
idea.
can't remember
Yeah.
for sure, though. It would have been 2 years before Will&Grace.
I don't remember that. I remember Boston Public. That was good.
That was a good show, but not by them, though.
But not. I mean, no, I don't follow. There are very few shows where I would follow a show based on the showrunner. But there are a few shows that I would.
Same.
I do tend to follow creators. I don't know that I would follow these two.
No.
I feel like they're George Lucas Star Wars is Will&Grace, you know?
Yeah,
And
it was
they're-
kind of their crown jewel.
It was their crown jewel, and now that they've revived it and they're bringing it back, I mean, this is what they're going to be known for. So it wouldn't surprise me if their careers end shortly after this revival. No offense, guys. Sorry if you're listening.
You made it this far.
You made it this far. You gave a few good tries in these other shows that I'm never going to watch.
You know, you gave it your all.
Right?
Time to have a seat on the bench.
Is there a
Kudos.
Broadway song in here? Just-
Right.
How would you compare Will&Grace to other sitcoms? How would you rank it among your personal favorites of sitcoms or TV shows in general?
Well, it's definitely something, if it's on, I'll watch it. Like, if I'm trying to fall asleep at night or if I'm cooking, I'll turn on, like, you know, I've got my rotating, it's either Buffy or Dexter or Supernatural or Will&Grace or Friends. Like, one of those I will always watch just because it is always entertaining and I enjoy it.
And comforting.
It is comforting.
Yes.
It's definitely one of my favorite, I want to say, of like the old age sitcoms. I do love...
Old age sitcoms.
I'm going... Okay.
Come on.
No.
Concluded
But I mean, really, okay.
sitcoms?
You know, I mean, like, even like, I guess like... Comedies nowadays, even like 30-minute comedies, aren't really situational comedies
Not
where they
really.
have like through storylines, and you know, I do love how
And live
You-
studio audiences.
Yeah.
but how you can watch one episode and not have to, you know,
Yeah,
miss
like
the
it stands
episode before.
alone.
Exactly, you can watch them out of order and not, you know, and they don't make shows like that anymore.
Yeah, How I Met
Barely.
Your Mother was like that, and that's what I really appreciated about
Exactly,
it too. It followed
yeah.
that old formula, and it still works.
Yeah. They don't really do that though, right? Except for these reboot shows, right? Like, is there a sitcom out right now that's...
That's an excellent question, and I don't really watch a ton of sitcoms.
What about that new Netflix one? Does anyone watch that?
What's
Which
it called?
new Netflix one?
There's like a Netflix sitcom.
Yeah, there's
With like a
many.
family, I feel like they're like a Hispanic family or...
Oh, yeah,
Am I
One
making
Day
that
at
up?
a
Is that
Time.
Oh,
right?
that's
Okay.
a remake. That's
Yeah.
a remake of an old sitcom called One Day at a Time.
Oh,
But with a
okay.
Latinx family.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but
Gotcha.
my boss is a big fan of it and has told me I would enjoy it. She goes, I can watch it with my kids, so of course I love it. She's got 3 kids under 5 or under 8.
That's a remake, so I feel like they couldn't get away with being all new with the remake format.
Yeah.
I can't think of a sitcom that follows that formula nowadays.
That's
I don't think, does Big
currently.
Bang Theory? No, Big Bang Theory doesn't even, right? Does
yeah,
it in
they
a
do.
sense?
I
They
think
have a lot of-
laugh track.
They have a lot of through lines, but I think like if
Well,
I'm at
they
the
all
gym or
have
something and it's
through
on, I can just
lines,
watch
you know,
one.
but yeah.
And I don't feel
But
too
Big
lost.
Bang has been on for over a decade.
Right,
really?
right.
It has.
I have not watched it, and I want to watch it. CBS, why don't you make it streamable for people without paying a lot of money?
Yes.
Well, they made it for paying a lot of money. It's on All Access.
I know, it's what, well, I had that, and when I had that, it wasn't on. They only had, like, the most recent season on. I was
I hate it when they
paying
do
for All
that.
Access, and it was, like, nothing. I could watch old Brady Bunch episodes,
You should
but
write
I
an
only
angry
had it
letter,
for Big
Andrew.
Brother anyway. What?
Write an angry letter.
Yeah.
No, I know, but no, I'm just saying, it's like one of
Yeah.
those shows
I wish
that
I
I
was
really
Sarah.
want to
That would've
watch,
come up
but I
better.
won't because I need to get to know the characters.
Yeah.
I
I've
just watch
seen random
TBS from
episodes.
like 10 a.m. to
That's
1
right.
and you got it.
I know,
There you
I
go.
literally have like checked occasionally to see like when they're playing like
Really?
first season. And then so if I can watch like the first 10 episodes, then I can watch it out of order because I know the
You
characters.
get the
I
basics.
get, right.
Yeah.
No, I'm actually, I totally agree with you because people have told me I would love Big Bang Theory. I never started watching it live. And of course, it's about a bunch of nerds. Hello.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not, you can't find it to stream anywhere unless, and I guess not on All Access even. So
Right.
I haven't been able to catch up on it.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones I'll just have to find when it's done, whenever that may be.
Or you could go to the library and get DVDs of it. That's what I've done.
Really, hashtag old school.
I did that this week.
I know it's sad.
What?
I don't
It's
even.
free.
I don't have a DVD player anymore or a computer with the DVD drive even.
That's fine. I'm living in
Andrew, you're so much
2003.
better than us.
It's cool.
No, that's almost like I have so many DVDs and
No,
I
I know.
watch them and
I
it's like,
know.
oh,
You
can't
can
watch
buy
it.
one that
Yeah.
you attach.
Yeah, DVD players are less than $30 now.
It's
Who would have
true.
thought? 2001, my dad bought us a DVD player for Christmas, and it was like $300.
I know. This is what happens. So, Will&Grace for you, where would you rank
Oh.
it? That's why I moderate.
Thank you. I was gonna say we got
1
real.
to 10. All in all, probably a 7.
Where would you rank it amongst your favorite sitcoms, if at all?
Oh, sitcoms? Probably a 9.
Which sitcom would you like better than Will&Grace?
For standalone, probably Frasier. Okay. It's a good sitcom, but I just don't feel like it had the staying power that it should have. I don't think it should have brought it back, actually.
Oh.
Whoa.
I know, which we're going to get into.
Fighting words. Spicy words.
I know.
I'd say it's my 4th favorite.
It should have died.
What is your 4th favorite? What are your first 3?
Obviously, number 1, I Love Lucy. Number 2, Seinfeld. Number 3, Friends. Will&Grace probably tied with Friends.
Oh, wow.
Friends does not hold up as much, but I still watch it.
I mean,
I disagree.
You disagree? I find Friends to be like blatantly offensive now when I go
There
back
are
and watch
some
it.
No, I agree with Kylie.
Yeah.
I'm
But I still love it.
Your
I
side.
mean,
Yeah.
It's probably the only thing on my Netflix that I've literally watched every episode. Like,
So I still have a problem with watching shows from 20 years ago in today's context. To me, I get
lose
it, and if it
something.
offends you, then don't watch it anymore. But trying to place today's values on back then's art that's already been made and can't be changed is a self-defeating thing. And
I get that.
Yeah.
It's
And I really get dandered up when it comes to Friends because yes, you have male fragility all on display. You have white privilege because there were no persons of color on it, all on display, and you have homophobia because back then that began in 1994, 2 years before Ellen came out on television. So
it's more like a bad reminder of the
Who
time.
we used to be,
Right.
yeah.
It's not on the
And what we
show, but
thought
the
was
fact
okay.
that right.
It hurts a little to look back.
It does, but then also, so another example that I use is Sanford and Son from the 70s.
Yeah.
So they made out now, I mean, it's an African American cast, obviously, too, but that was all about race relations, and, and they said even some objectionable words on that show.
did.
But it's still funny. In the context of 1970 whatever, it's still funny because that's what it was back then. And it's okay, you can be offended now. I think that's all right. But I just, and it can hurt a little. I think that helps us to recognize that we've come far and we should be where we are.
Right.
But it just, I still, my brain intellectually, I was alive back then. So I remember how things were, and I've seen the progress of 20 years. The other thing is, I think there's a little bit of like, it has to happen now kind of mentality just because everything is so instant for us now. But that's not how social mores and social progress works.
No.
Right.
And I think just comparing a show like Friends or like the original run of Will&Grace to something, say...
Modern Family.
Modern Family.
Yeah.
Just by way of comparison, I think that just shows our evolution.
Right.
Which we should celebrate the evolution
That's true.
while recognizing where
Agreed.
things have been.
Yeah.
Just my little
No, I mean, I
diatribe.
still kept Friends as my number 3, but
I
I
know.
watch it a lot, and there are cringeworthy moments more than I get.
and most of them are
Will&Grace or
done by
anything.
Ross.
That is true.
Who is the quote intellectual?
Right. I would put it in my top 10, honestly. I don't know where. I don't know if I've ranked it that far. Friends is definitely one of my favorites. 30 Rock, The Office. I can name quite a few of those. I don't think Will&Grace ranks higher than those for me, but I still love it. So I guess maybe one day we'll do a definitive sitcom ranking.
couldn't
But
do
top
that.
10 for sure.
See, and
love
I
all
think
my
it ranks
children
higher
equally.
just because I think they took a lot of the social aspects of what was going on in the day and did a very good job of relating them to how it's apt and how it could relate to what they're dealing with politically, etc.
Yeah, put it in front of our faces, which a lot of sitcoms
They
did not
did.
do and still
True.
don't do.
It's true. And maybe I'll feel differently after we talk about season 9. So
Stay tuned.
Yes. Have you stayed loyal to the cast members as they've gone on to other projects? And these 4, now Sean Hayes, maybe not so much. He kind of started a production company and did a lot of theater. But everybody else has had lots of TV both before and after.
Not great TV.
Oh, what about Smash?
I
Theater
know.
person.
I didn't.
Smash was not good TV.
It was not good TV. I didn't
I'm not
watch
saying
it.
it was. I was just putting it out there for
You
you
said
guys.
good TV. You
I'm
did.
Emily. I'm a theater person, and I have not watched Smash.
I watched
I
Smash.
like that
It
new
was
show
not good.
that Eric McCormick's on Netflix.
Travelers?
Yeah, I've heard
I just
really good
randomly started
things.
watching that one day, and then I got hooked on it.
I want to watch that. Everything
Yeah.
I've read says it's good.
Yeah.
I haven't been into anything that Deborah Messing has done.
Me neither.
Although I'm
What
excited.
has she done? She did that one doctor
Since
show.
Will&Grace, she was The Mysteries of Laura, was
Yeah.
where she's the doctor.
That was-
Smash was where she's the playwright person. And The Starter Wife, she was critically acclaimed actually in that one. But I didn't watch it.
My mom watched that. No, that was The Good Wife.
I really wish. Going back to, we made a Gilmore Girls reference earlier. You did. She was supposed to be Adelaide in the revival. Guys and Dolls, Deborah Messing.
Oh, okay.
And I'm so mad that she didn't do it. And
She got replaced by Lauren Graham, didn't she?
Yeah, who was awful.
Oh,
Yeah. The whole production was awful. But anyway.
okay.
She was the Deborah Messing, yes, random fact. She is who workshopped Harper in Angels in America.
Really?
Yeah. At NYU.
She's
Wow.
also a staunch liberal on Twitter.
Yeah, she is.
I follow all four of them. So I enjoy them on the Twitters, although Eric doesn't do as much.
I don't Twitter. I don't tweet.
I recently
only-
got back into it.
Oh, yeah?
I'm
I
not a
enjoy
millennial
looking at
that
the
way.
celebrity accounts and what they have to say in so many characters or less. I'm just saying.
Or 9 tweets to flesh out their thought.
There is that too. Or then there's the other guy. Would you recommend Will&Grace based on the 8 original seasons? Why or why not?
Yes.
Based off those, yes.
Absolutely. I still
Jeremy, hashtag foreshadowing.
Right.
True.
I even to this day it blows my mind when I run into someone, usually like a younger millennial or a Gen Zer or something that has never seen it or something. And it's
Yeah,
like,
that's weird.
what? It just blows my mind. It's like one of those things. It's I'm not from the silent generation, but I still have watched every I Love Lucy.
Yeah.
It's just weird that younger generation of people don't watch what's not now.
Yeah.
And then judge it.
Yeah. So so I do recommend it to a
Not that I have
lot of
feelings.
younger people that haven't seen it, but talk to anyone over the age of 27, and if they haven't seen it, I'm not even going to recommend it, because that's just where have you been?
Right.
It's I was always that kid that would watch TV Land and be like, I love the Brady Bunch. It's so ahead of our time. Or, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So, it's retro. I'm going to watch it. That'll make me cool. So I always watch TV Land and all the old shows. I love Cheers. I love Frasier. I love, that whole stuff I wasn't, quote, around for when it was in its prime time. But there's value in older shows. You get to see what the world was like and what people thought of certain things. And I think it's very important to I'm going to step up on my soapbox real quick.
Sure. Please join me.
I don't know. I think it's important for current generations to understand where they've come from, I guess, in pop culture. And you can learn a lot about history and just perspectives and the pulse of what was going on in America by watching those shows, because the writers were reflecting what was going on. And it's a good way to learn that, other than just cracking open a book and opening 1972. Okay, I think it's interesting, and you can learn a lot about the world from that.
I just think some of the jokes hold up very, very well. Emily has already said, it's still entertaining. It doesn't matter how much time has passed. We've all kind of said that. I would recommend this just because it's still funny. Yes, Jack may be stereotypically flamboyant. Will may be stereotypically neat, I guess. But, even though they're also lampooning other people's stereotypes of that as well. And I think that's the meta aspect that people kind of forget about. And it's still funny. I think it's still funny. Not all the seasons, not all the episodes, although there's at least one laugh. I agree with what you said when you said that earlier. There's at least one truly laugh out loud moment in every episode. Usually Jack and Karen. So I agree. I would recommend it. I would even recommend it, especially to LGBT youth of today.
Yeah.
Just to kind of see where your forebears have been and where the people who have kind of had to deal with this stuff have been. I think it's a really interesting window into that history. You got to remember that history as you go forward, just like any civil rights movement in this country.
Right.
Yeah, very true.
That's how I feel.
And absolutely, and that's why I think some of the most successful things with season 9 are. We'll get to that.
Yes,
and how-
we will. Hashtag foreshadowing.
Sorry. But it really goes into that, you know, and like, you
Yeah.
know, with how it's so different back, you know, like even like, you know, my generation, you know, like what kids now, I don't know, yeah, like they just had it so different. It's not been so, you know, it's just a normal, you know, gay, lesbian, whatever, you know, it's so normal, and, you know, it's not like that one in the school.
Right.
But going back to, like, you know, like Jack being so, you know, flamboyant, stereotypical, and would it be as offensive if there were more gay representation on TV? Because I don't think so. I think it was because that was, like, the first.
Yeah.
It was, like, there was, like, backlash over there being a flamboyant, like, the best friend being flamboyant and Love Simon. And it's like, but there are gay people who identify as gay that are extra flamboyant, you know, and so they do exist. I
Yeah,
mean,
like there are Jacks out there, and
Right.
there are
We
Will
shouldn't just be like,
and then
oh,
there's
you have to
everything.
be-
The Al Roker thing in the Will and Grace where they had the first gay
Yeah.
kiss on
Yeah.
Al Roker. Yeah.
Gay male kiss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember Roseanne?
But right, I mean, like, yeah, like Jack slept around and was a whore and was extra flamboyant. Yeah, but there are gay people like that.
Yeah, and
are
then
just
everywhere in
like
between,
him.
yeah.
Right, but I think in hindsight, thinking back on it, is what was so stereotypical about it was because they were the only representation.
Right.
I don't know. No, so that was just like going back to me being like, oh, it was so stereotypical. And I'm like, but was it, you know, like...
That's why I go back to context.
Right,
Yeah.
no,
Context
absolutely,
is so
yeah.
important.
Yeah.
That's very true. You know, like being, you know, an 8-year-old in the suburbs, I didn't know any gay people. The only one gay person I knew about was like my uncle through marriage's brother, and I never met him. But I heard people saying, "Oh yeah, Rodney's gay," you know. And that was the first depiction of anything in LGBT culture that I ever saw. And
Right.
I was in my first play when I was 5, so I was always exposed
you
to
were
it.
around it.
Well, and I was also suburban too, and I mean, like I said, I just lived through. They tried to do that. Ellen got fired from her own
Yeah.
show, named after her. She was the lead actor because she came out on TV 2 years before this show ever came to air. So, to me, I thought, wow, this is like a leap forward. You know,
True.
this is something that we haven't seen, and there have been other. You know, there were lots of other depictions of gay characters in truly stereotypical, like almost derogatory, like the men on sketches in Living Color, for example.
Oh, sure.
You know, I mean, those were not meant to be
Yeah.
complimentary portrayals, and I just thought it shined a light. And yeah, you're right. There weren't really any other representation. How can you say stereotypical? There was just two people.
Right.
And
Yeah,
yes,
just
they
looking
represented,
back.
yeah, just poles, extremes, but not, not the spectrum, but that's what the years passing by have given us now.
Yeah, it was the first step. That's true.
On that note, is there anything else you want to say about the original run of Will and Grace?
Not yet.
I loved it. It makes me want to go back and watch more. I have a lot on my DVR. But I will go back and
It's true,
say
yes.
I changed my mind. My favorite episode is not an old-fashioned piano party. I think it's the episode where Karen does the con with her mom.
Oh.
With the, like, cat hoodie. I think that's my
That was
all-time
good.
favorite episode.
That one's good. I like the one where Jack dreams Cher in heaven.
Oh,
That's a good one for me. Anytime Cher's on the show with Jack. And then Jack doing Cher.
in front of
In
Cher.
front of Cher. Whoa. Oh, my name is Cheryl.
I won't get to my favorite one.
Oh, I love it. I can't pick one.
I will. No, my favorite one is where Diane comes to dinner with
Yeah.
Leo and Grace and Will, where Diane
yeah.
slept with Will
Yes,
back in
that
the
is a good
20s
one.
or something.
The Barney sale is a great one.
Oh,
Barney
that's a good
Sale.
one.
That is a good one.
Any holiday episode's great.
The holiday
I've
episodes.
actually been to the Barney sale.
What about
It's pretty insane.
the egg timer Thanksgiving one?
Oh, where they had to go to the different
Yes.
houses. That's a good
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. That's a great one, actually.
The funeral
we
with the
haven't
list.
talked enough about their family. It's Will's family.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my God.
Was that Blythe
The
Danner
Waspy.
as his mom?
Yes,
Blythe
Blythe
Danner.
Danner is his
She's
mom.
She's amazing.
phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And Debbie Reynolds is Grace's mom.
Yeah.
Oh. And
Who
Judy-
was Karen's mom?
She's a character actress, and I can't.
I mean, I feel like she's been in a bunch of things, right?
She
has.
It's like one of those ones that you don't know her name,
Oh.
but you see her everywhere.
Yeah.
I can't think of her name right now. And I
Did we
can
ever
see her
meet
face.
Jack's parents?
Yeah,
And
we
then
met
yes.
his mom.
Mom.
He came out to his mom.
Oh,
And
that's
that's when we found
right.
out that
That's
his
right.
dad was not his dad.
Right. That's right.
And he spends like the next 2 seasons trying to
Lois
find him.
Whitley.
Oh,
That's
that's
her real
Karen's
name?
mom?
No, it's her character name.
Okay.
I know Bernadette Peters was Karen's sister.
Oh, right.
Ginny.
Yes!
Gin, please! No, I was just ordering.
That was a great episode. They had a lot of Broadway biggies on that
They
show.
did.
It was filmed in New York, right?
It was.
Yeah.
Oh, the Patty LaPone at the tea room. Where, oh my gosh, that's funny. Where Jack has to pretend to be really interested in what Will's having to say, and Patty LaPone sitting right behind him.
That's right.
Not now, Patty LaPone.
I love it.
There's a lot, actually, character actors and
Well, she's wonderful.
Yes.
Whoever she is.
She was great. I feel like Veronica Cartwright was Sean's his real name. Veronica Cartwright played Jack's mom.
So Karen's mom was Suzanne Plachette.
I knew that.
Sorry.
Mystery of Karen.
Suzanne Plachette has done a lot of TV.
Yeah, and she was
Not
huge
the
in like
voice
the
of the
60s
wardrobe.
or 70s or something.
Yeah. I want to say, and I'm fairly certain it's true. Yep. Veronica Cartwright was Judith McFarlane.
Nice.
Oh, Nurse Sheila. Just going through the whole cast.
Oh, Nurse Sheila.
I love Sheila.
Mini Driver.
Was she the one who's just like...
She was
really
Laura
big on it?
Keitlinger, who also wrote a lot of the episodes.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Oh, Mini Driver was so good.
Many
Oh, she
Driver.
was fantastic. She's my favorite character.
I love her stuff with Karen.
Oh my gosh.
That's my favorite.
When she's pulling out all the jewels from the different orifices of her dress.
Yes. All those things.
When Karen's like talking to Stan on the phone, like talking about roast beef and
Making love over meat.
yes. I just watched the episode actually.
There were several
Just
like that
go
too.
for
Where she's
Yeah,
like
she did that more than
coleslaw,
once. And then she
roast beef, and she's like, "What are you doing? Ordering takeout?" No, I'm talking sex with Stan.
or to take out.
Well, it probably made Grace hungry. Andrew's off in his own world. Anything
I'm
else
just
you
reading
want to
all the
say?
guest stars from the show. Like
So
it's
many.
so many.
More than we have time. Anything else you want to say about the original run of Will and Grace?
The fact that it will never ever shine as bright as the new season.
We mean the
Well-
other way around?
Yes.
Okay. Foreshadowing. You don't have to. It's usually just the catch-all, just in case you didn't say things you thought you should say.
Nah, move on.
Well, all right then. Since Emily told me to move on, I guess I will by thanking Jeremy, Andrew, and Emily for joining me for this part 1 of our look back to look forward of Will and Grace. And because I thank them, I now have to thank you for listening and say, CPE was produced by Back Pocket Productions, run by yours truly, the Chief Couch Potato, and hails from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Please, if you like what you hear, would you take the time to rate us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or Google Play? That means give us some stars, comments, reviews. Let us know how we're doing, what you like, what you don't, and all that jazz. Just Jack. If you have suggestions on shows we might consider, contact us at our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, by email at couchpotatoesunitepodcast@gmail.com, or by Facebook and Twitter. Though, of course, we add new and old shows to chat about around the water cooler all the time. We have several more new episodes coming down the pike. I talked about them in the introduction. And if you miss old episodes or want to know in general what we cover, we're everywhere. We top Google searches under Couch Potatoes Unite! It's true! But you can also subscribe to our website or channels and social media to stay up on new events and episodes. Now, until the next time, Will and Grace, both the original series and the revival series that we're about to talk about very shortly, are only available on Hulu. In the meantime, our Will and Grace panel will next reconvene to discuss season 9, i.e. the first season of the Will and Grace revival, and part 2 of this Look Back to Look Forward miniseries. So until next time, until next episode, new episodes are published every Wednesday. Keep listening, keep watching, stay tuned. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Honey, what's going on here?
What is that?